Well, SportsLine viewers, I'm back. I've been to Germany, I've been to France, and you know what I realized on all of my travels? There's just nothing as special or as wonderful as the SportsLine desk. Hello, I'm Megan Cooney.
And I'm Charlie Hug. If Megan saw London and Megan saw France, then I don't think you want to know what I saw. Well, besides a whole bunch of Explorers wins, that is. You're watching LaSalle TV's home for Explorer Athletics, SportsLine. Welcome to SportsLine. Our teams were super active during the break, and we have all of the coverage right here.
But first, let's take a look at our SportsLine top three.
Number 1, Jameer Brickus has been named third team All-Atlantic 10. The senior guard, who averaged 13.5 points and 4.8 assists per game this season, is just the 15th player in program history to earn all-conference honors and the first since B.J. Johnson in 2018.
Number 2, the LaSalle water polo team won their first game against a nationally ranked opponent since the 2021 season. The Explorers took down number 22 ranked Cal State Northridge at the California Baptist Mini Invitational last week, which is the program's first ever ranked win in a non-COVID season.
And number 3, the men's rowing varsity 8+ boat has been named this week's NovaCare Student Athletes of the Week. The crew earned a win over defending Dadvale champion Drexel in a time of 5 minutes and 30 seconds.
All right, we have a lot to talk about coming
Yes.
up, so I don't want to get too much into like the nitty-gritty, but LaSalle's water polo team was very, very active during the break, and so for them to win against number 22 ranked Cal State Northridge was huge. They actually played them twice. They lost the first time and then won the second time, so I feel like that was really good for them. They played amazing games over the break. Like I said, we'll get more into it, but congrats to them.
Yeah, a little bit of a revenge game there, and I mean, it's a great team for it to come against a team with a lot of talent, a ranked team. You face some opponents twice in a season, not always a ranked opponent, and so to take a loss and then come back and play even better the next time, that's really cool to see. And I mean, this team has the potential and the power to be right up there with those ranked teams. They were right there earlier in the season. They were ranked 26, and I think they're now inching back towards that competitiveness.
Yeah, and like I said, we'll get back into a bunch of it later, but that's it for the top three. Now let's see how our teams did in this week's recaps. Men's basketball faced Loyola on the road to end their regular season. The Explorers started off strong on offense. Help from Tunde Valberg-Fasasi and Deshaun Shepard gave LaSalle a 6-4 lead. Loyola tied up the game until Rokas Yoshis scored the next 7 points. This game gave the Explorers a 13-6 advantage. Both teams went back and forth for the next few possessions. Ryan Zan and Anwar Gill contributed to LaSalle's lead. Valberg-Fasasi hit a 3 in the last 28 seconds, setting the score 37-28 to end the half. In the second, both teams traded buckets and Loyola took a 44-36 lead. The Ramblers kept going, expanding their lead to 53-38 with under 11 minutes remaining. The Explorers stood strong on defense for the rest of the half but could not come back. The game ended with a 64-54 loss for the Explorers. In the first round of the A-10 championships, men's basketball took on George Washington. The Explorers had a rough start, giving George Washington a 9-2 lead. Khalil Brantley scored a 3 but was answered by 5 more points from the Revolutionaries. LaSalle held up a strong defense, holding George Washington for over 5 minutes straight. Anwar Gill ended the first half with a pair of free throws. George Washington was still in the lead at 30-23. The Explorers started the half strong, cutting the Revolutionaries' lead and leaving them scoreless for the first 4 minutes. Jameer Brickus and Rokas Yoshis nailed back-to-back threes to the things up. Brantley and Deshaun Shepard contributed to give LaSalle their first lead of the game. Both teams went back and forth to take the lead with 3 minutes later. Brantley knocked a jumper and Shepard hit a pair of free throws to tie things up. George Washington was back in the lead with 2 minutes left. Neither team was able to score for the remainder of the game until Brickus scored the game-winning basket with just 20 seconds left. The end score was 61-60, advancing LaSalle to the next round. In the second round of the A-10 tournament, the Explorers faced St. Bonaventure. Jameer Brickus and Khalil Brantley started the game off with a layup and a three. The Bonnies answered back, gaining the lead. Anwar Gill and Ryan Zan came out strong on defense after being subbed in. The Explorers' defense forced 4 turnovers in under 3 minutes to tie the game. St. Bonaventure then got hot, going on a 13-2 run. Shepherd then scored 5 straight points to get LaSalle back in the game. For the rest of the half, both teams exchanged buckets. By the end of the first, the Bonnies led 42-34. The second started slow for the first 5 minutes until the Explorers' run began. Brickus brought the lead down to 5. The Explorers then exploded for a 7-0 run to tie the game with less than 11 minutes remaining. Contributions from both Anwar Gill and Tunde Valberg-Fasasi gave LaSalle the advantage. The Bonnies fought hard to tie things up with a minute 30 on the clock. St. Bonaventure then gained a 4-point lead with 26 seconds remaining. Brickus was then fouled, allowing him to score 3 free throws to pull LaSalle within 1. In the final play of the game, Brickus misfired on a 3-point attempt. Shepherd then went for the rebound but missed the dunk to end the game with a final score of 75-73 loss for the Explorers, ending their season.
So it's weird to think this is the last time that we're going to be up here talking about men's basketball.
I know. It makes me a little sad because we do love our men's basketball on this show. But they had an interesting end to their season.
Yeah, really rough way to go. I mean, at the end of the regular season, that's fine. You already have your spot cemented in the tournament. A win there, I don't think, changed their seeding at all. But then you get to the tournament and you have a really competitive game in the first round. Brickus had a great performance, hitting the game-winning shot. Everything looked promising, and then St. Bonaventure's again. You hang right in there till the end, and you're a couple inches away from winning. It's a tough one, and I think overall, I think it was a successful season. Any way you look at it. Some of the wins they picked up were huge, and wins that probably a lot of people didn't think they would be getting coming into the season. I just think some of the performances were very, very encouraging for this team moving forward, and it was a lot that had to do with the young guys, too.
Yeah. I feel like, if we look back on their season from the very beginning, if we're going all the way back to do a recap, I feel as if, like you said, in the beginning, they did knock down some pretty heavy competitors, and they did have a very good start to their season. It was when they hit conference play that kind of got them a little knocked off their feet. And those last 2 games in the tournament, they were nail biters. Like I might have been in Europe, but I was watching them at 10 o'clock at night, and I remember sitting in the lobby with other people, and we were watching the game against George Washington, and it was like down to the bare second, and I kept refreshing, and so it was just so. When they won that, it was so hopeful, and then to see them lose in the way that they did against St. Bonaventure was just absolutely heartbreaking and crushing. Yeah,
but I mean, fighting till the end like that, I mean, you just got to respect all of it. I mean, Brickus taking that 3, you can't, I mean, it's a shot and you hit it early. I mean, you got fouled on the one before to even bring them still within the game, and then Shep, I mean, I can't blame him for trying that dunk. That's what he's on the team to do. He is that explosive part. I would like to address the elephant in the room, that everybody that we have just mentioned has entered the transfer portal.
Yes.
What that means for next season, you never know. I know a few of them were in it last year, ended up coming back. After a season like this, you would like to think so. I know Fran Dunphy has a year left in his contract. Maybe he'll be the pull for some people. But regardless, I mean, we got a lot of young talent. I think Ryan Zan is someone that you'll see a lot more minutes from last year. He got stuck behind Rokas Yoshis and Shepherd this year, but I think he'll definitely deserve some playing time next year. Fasasi showed a lot of signs. So I think next year, regardless of who's here or who's not, I think we have some pieces still.
Yeah, it'll be definitely interesting to see who stays and who goes.
Yep. But water polo had a busy spring break, participating in the Aztec Invitational in California and also playing an additional 2 games on the West Coast. In total, they played 6 games and came out with a record of 2-4 on the trip. Once back on the East Coast, the team went straight into conference play. They took on the Siena Saint. The Saints took an early lead with a 3-2 score, a lead that was short-lived thanks to an absolute storm of Explorer scoring, with LaSalle scoring 4 times in 5 minutes to close out the quarter with a score of 6-3. Out of those 6 points, 4 out of 6 were scored by Sofia Koloval. The Explorers kept the energy in the second quarter with Koloval, Ko, and Grace Smith all scoring. Siena managed to score with 14 seconds left in the quarter before going into half, making the score 9-4. Siena opened and closed the third quarter with a goal, with Casey Malone and Tatum Lomax scoring 2 in the middle of the quarter, bringing the score to 13-5 in favor of the Explorers. It was the same in the fourth, with the Explorers outscoring the Saints 6-0 thanks to Martina Bonet-Saez, Coloval, Claire Durham, and Paige Mitchell. This sealed the deal, and the Explorers won 19-6. It was then time to take on Iona. The first quarter of the game was the battle of the defenses, with both teams only scoring one goal, with the Explorer goal being made by Francesca Coe. The defense battle continued with the Explorers only scoring 2 more goals before the half, thanks to Malone and Bonet-Saez giving LaSalle a 3-2 lead. Both teams came out hot after the half, with Iona outscoring LaSalle 6-4 to give them the lead. Coe took back the lead for the Explorers, scoring on back-to-back penalties in the final period, making the score 9-8 with 2 minutes and 45 seconds remaining. Iona unfortunately countered with 2 goals of their own with 45 seconds left to seal the deal. In the end, the Explorers would lose 10-9. Finally, the team took on VMI on Sunday. LaSalle came out of the gate swinging. Coloval scored the first 2 goals of the game, followed by one from Bonet-Saez to put the Explorers at a 3-0 lead. VMI attempted to counter, scoring 2 goals of their own, but it was responded with 3 more Explorers goals to end the first quarter with a score of 6-2. The Explorers would outscore the Keydets 3-0 in the second quarter as well, 2 of which would come from Coe and 1 from Durham, who would find the back of the net, putting the score at 10-2 heading into the half. The second half was much like the first, with the Explorers scoring 5 points in the third, thanks to a pair from Whitney Wood and 1 from Coloval, Grace Smith, and Ella Tice. VMI would try to respond, scoring 2 more goals, making the score 15-3 going into the final stretch. VMI would score 3 goals in this final quarter, but with Bonet-Saez and Tice finding the back of the net, they wouldn't stand a chance, and LaSalle would win with a score of 17-6.
All right, so I think water polo was our busiest Explorers team over spring break. I think we've said they played a total of 9 games. I don't even think we were on break for that long, so I'm not really sure how they managed to fit all of that in and traveling to the West Coast and back. But there's a lot to dive into with this. Yeah. So to start, they played in the Aztec Invitational over in California, and that was rough for them.
I mean, it's a tough draw when you're facing 3 ranked opponents. Mm-hmm. Again, like I mentioned earlier, I think this team has the ability to compete with them, and they did. I mean, there was no blowouts. They kind of competed right where they should be. They're close losses, and I think it was encouraging to kind of see that. I think it kind of gave them the push to go and do what they did in conference play, and especially coming back, and they faced Cal Northridge, and they lost 9-3, which was, I know, a rougher one. You don't see them scoring 3 goals often. Mm-hmm. They're a high-scoring team, which is what they did. Just a week later, they faced them again, still a ranked team, and they won, and they got their first ranked win since 2021, which has an asterisk next to it because it's a COVID season, which makes it even more impressive because that is the only time they have ever beat a ranked opponent. So again, it's a very successful season. Never beat a ranked opponent in a non-COVID season, and this is the time they're doing it. So I think that was really cool. Yeah,
I know that was one of our top 3 highlights this week, and it is super impressive. Like you said, since 2021, that's 3 years now you're going on in a non-COVID season. It's just, this team is great. And I know that they have the potential, like you said, they might have lost a lot in the Aztec Invitational, but when you look at the scores when they played Cal State Fulton, they went in a double overtime with them. It was down to the wire, like quite literally the last minute of the game. Like, they are competing with these highly ranked teams all the way out on the West Coast, and they are keeping up with them quite heavily. And then when they do win, they're blowouts. Like, they're absolutely blowing out these teams. When they played Cal Baptist, they won 12-8, and when they played, I have it right here. When they played Siena, 19-6. That was the one I was looking for. 19-6 is absolutely crazy. So they're coming out with such a fire, and they have such a strong defense, and they have so many strong players like Coloval, Coe. You're even seeing freshman Martina Bonet-Saez. She is all over this. These 9 games, the amount of points that all of them have scored has been absolutely astonishing.
I couldn't believe it looking back at all those games. We missed 9 games. We were gone for 2 weeks, and in that time, Coe scored 25 goals, including a 6-goal game in a loss to Indiana, and then Coloval with 20 of her own, and Bonet-Saez with 15 of her own over the course of 9 games, which is just awesome. I mean, Coe is something we haven't seen in a long time here at LaSalle. I think she is an extremely high-caliber player and something that the Explorers really needed and have missed the past couple years, and I think you see it now. I think she's making all of her teammates better. She's making the team better, and it's something that I'm really looking forward to watching moving forward in her career.
Yeah, I definitely think this team has a lot of potential, and I'm excited to see where they go in the future. So now moving on to women's lacrosse. Last Saturday, they took on St. Bonaventure at home in result of a tough loss. Starting at the whistle was a rough start for LaSalle Explorers as they allowed 2 quick goals within the first 2 minutes of the play by the Bonnies. Fiona McGovern, who had an impressive performance, managed to pull one back for LaSalle, marking her first goal of the match. However, the Bonnies dominated the first quarter, adding 4 more goals to leave LaSalle trailing 6-0 early on. Despite Molly Maloney's effort to put LaSalle on the scoreboard with a successful free position attempt, the first quarter ended with the Bonnies firmly in control. The second quarter saw LaSalle finding a bit of a rhythm as Gina D'Angelo capitalized on a setup from Katie Johnson to notch another goal for the Explorers, but the Bonnies continued their offensive onslaught, extending their lead to 11-2 by halftime. Although LaSalle managed to add a few more goals through Mackenzie Click, Katie Johnson, and Molly Maloney, they couldn't bridge the gap significantly. Johnson emerged as LaSalle's top scorer for the day, notching 2 goals and bringing her season total to 18. Despite their efforts, LaSalle struggled with draw controls throughout the game, being outmatched by the Bonnies 18-10 in goal. Mary Babbage and Brooke Nelson shared duties for LaSalle, facing a relentless Bonnies attack that resulted in a total of 17 goals against them, ending the game 17-7. They then took on UMass this past Tuesday at McCarthy Stadium. Despite an early 3-0 run to open the game for Massachusetts, LaSalle was able to stay with the Minutewomen and make this a really physical contest. Maddie Henderson Brooke opened the scoring for the Explorers with 7 minutes and 1 second remaining in the opening quarter, which was followed by Mackenzie Click goal with 4 minutes and 4 seconds to go, making it 3-2 for UMass. Massachusetts got back in the rhythm offensively with 3 more goals for UMass. Click added her second goal of the frame with 33 seconds remaining, cutting the Massachusetts lead in half. The teams went on a scoring drought for a 6-minute stretch before either side scored. UMass added 1 more, and Claudia Steinmetz scored her first of the day with 3 minutes and 59 seconds left in the half. A late foul on UMass gave Katie Johnson the free position opportunity, and she converted, bringing the score to 11-5. UMass at the half. 11-5 for UMass at the half. Early in the third, Johnson and Henderson teamed up on a scoring possession for LaSalle, Johnson netting the goal and Henderson with the assist. The Explorers got within 6 thanks to a goal from Molly Maloney, her second in as many games. Massachusetts would go on to end any chances of a comeback for LaSalle as they went to outscore the Explorers 7-2 through the end of the third and the entirety of the fourth. The Explorers ended the game losing 20-9.
Yeah, there's a lot you can talk about here. There's some positive you see. I mean, they're scoring a lot more than they did last year. But if we do go and look at last year again, they did go 0-15. So, I mean, you'd like to see some progress. And I guess if you are looking in that respect, the offense has picked it up. But, yeah, there's still the talent's there. There's just a lot that they need to figure out, I think.
Yeah, I mean, we're full of optimism on this show. And when you're a 0-15 team last season, there's really... you can only go up from there. And so, you know, they are doing better. I do agree that there is a lot of talent on this team, but they do struggle in the draw control department. As we see, they were being out-controlled 18-10 on that game against the Bonnies. And that is really, when it comes to lacrosse, that is where your main advantage is. It's with those draw controls. And if you're being outscored by that much, then it really doesn't look well in your favor for like the entirety of the game.
And well, that's the problem, is it's not like most sports where if your opponent scores, you get the ball and you have a chance to score. You go back to the middle and you have to just go again. And so if you're not getting those draws, the team's just going down and scoring. And then if you're not winning the draws, they're getting the ball just to have another chance to go down and score. And I don't really want to knock them for that. I mean, their draws are that way. I don't know. I think if you look back at this season last year and you come into this season, you would hope to see some changes made from an 0-15 season, and it just does not look like there have been any adjustments. They're running the same plays, they're running the same shifts, and I mean, it works when it works. But if you're struggling, I don't know. I think there's a lot of ways you can go with this, but it's tough. And I think, again, the talent is there, and this team can win. I think there's more that needs to go on than just talent at this point, if that makes sense. So
yeah, I think it's super frustrating too, like as a player, like you were saying, just when it's so basically out of your control, because you don't automatically get the ball back once someone else scores. And so, like you said, the talent is there. All of like Mary and Brooke in goal, absolutely phenomenal. It's just a matter of finding maybe more of a cohesive energy with them.
Absolutely. Well, men's rowing kicked off their season on the Schuylkill on Saturday, taking on the defending Dad Vale champion Drexel. The team, coming off of one of their most historic seasons, the Explorers started off slow for the first race of the day, with the Dragons taking an early lead. Led by graduate student Trevor Fawcett, the Explorers were able to close a full length in front of Drexel's boat with a time of 5 minutes and 30.5 seconds. The second varsity 8 boat, coxed by Dominic Matza, repeated the first victory by defeating Drexel just 1.2 seconds in their race. In the third and final race of the day, the Explorers were able to finish third, respectively.
All right, so rowing's back. I know the women start later this week, but men started, like we said, on Saturday. I know, shout out to Trevor Fawcett, he did win NovaCare Student Athlete of the Week, so very, very impressive for them. They're coming off a hot season. They were they were record-breaking last year. So there's going to be a lot of pressure on these guys. There's going to be a lot of eyes on them, too, to either repeat or do better than they did last year. So
absolutely, and I think those are the expectations right now, as I don't see them getting any worse. I mean, they're beating the defending champion. I think they're performing just as we thought they would and at the high level that they should be. For me, I would just be happy that I'm staying in the boat with how cold the Schuylkill River is right now, but I'm sure, you know, they're very happy with the success that they're finding winning and everything too.
Yeah, I mean, going against Drexel and coming in first for your 2 races and third respectively in your last, it's really impressive. And like you said, they're the defending champions, and it's just super, super exciting to see where they go for the rest of the season. Now let's take a look at women's golf. They opened their season with a dual match against Jefferson on Tuesday. Paige Saramonaro led the day for the Explorers, having the second best overall score, shooting 16 over par with an 86. Hannah Bausler finished just 1 stroke behind with an 87. Kaylee Zeman and Nina Okankava would both shoot in the 90s with scores of 93 and 99 respectively. Sydney Levery would round out the Explorers shooting at a 102 on the day. Overall, the Explorers would lose by just 1 stroke, as Jefferson would take the match 364 to 365.
Yeah, a 1-stroke loss. That's rough. But I mean, great performances out of all of them. But that's coming from, you know, like someone who shoots about 120 every time I go out and play.
Professional golfer over here.
Yeah, so seeing scores in the 80s and 90s is something I would be very happy about. So I think I think they played great. I'm not worried going into the season. I think a 1-point loss isn't anything bad, but we'll have to see how the season pans out.
Definitely. And we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we have all of next week's upcoming games. Stay tuned.
I drive 65,000 miles each year in my bus. If people knew what I know, lives could be saved. You don't want to be in the blind spot of a 40,000-pound bus when I have less than a second to react. I do what I can by changing lanes and taking turns slowly. It really helps when people look out for me too. Give me room to operate safely. It's our roads, it's our safety.
Hi, I'm Joanna Van Fine, class of 2007, and you're watching LaSalle 56.
It's LaSalle TV.
Oh, right, of course. All right, I'll do it again. Hi, I'm Joanna Van Fine, class of 2007, and you're watching LaSalle 56. You're watching LaSalle 56. Oh, God. Hi, I'm Joanna Van Fine, class of 2007, and you're watching LaSalle 56. Can't do it. Hi, I'm Joanna Van Fine, class of 2007, and you're watching LaSalle 56. Oh, okay. Hi, I'm Joanna Van Fine, class of 2007, and you're watching LaSalle 56.
It's right behind you.
LaSalle 56.
TV.
LaSalle TV 6. LaSalle 56. And you're watching LaSalle 56. LaSalle 56. And you're watching LaSalle 56.
You're old.
Hey! And you're watching LaSalle TV. I did it. I'm not old.
I found hope in the midst of an overwhelming situation.
Alcoholism is a disease that can affect any family. Everyone suffers, but there is help and hope at Al-Anon Family Groups.
Al-Anon gave me my life back. I'm a better father and husband.
Are you in an overwhelming situation because of someone else's drinking? Al-Anon and Alateen can help. Local and virtual meetings are available. Maybe one could work for you. Call 1-866-200-0033 or visit alanon.org/hope.
Welcome back. We've got another week of LaSalle sports coming up, plus spring break, so here's what you have to look forward to. Men's rowing will take on George Washington this Saturday in Washington, D.C. Track and field will participate in the Penn Challenge this Saturday, and then will travel to Raleigh, North Carolina to participate in the Raleigh Relays next week.
Water polo is set to travel to Staten Island this weekend for a doubleheader against Wagner and LIU, and lacrosse will travel to Virginia to take on VCU at 1 p.m. on Saturday. And finally, women's rowing will kick off their season next Thursday against Bucknell.
All right, so we have a lot of the spring sports ramping up. We have rowing, women's rowing kicking off their season next week. Golf's back in action. Lacrosse is still chugging along.
Yep.
So I feel like it's going to be really excited to see what these teams do this next week.
Got a lot of new names to introduce to the fans back home. It's so exciting. I know all these new sports, the basketball season's done, winter sports are out of the way. We got the spring sports coming in, so we got a whole lot left to talk about for the rest of the season, which would be really cool. Pretty excited about that, so we'll see how all those seasons go.
Yeah, it's going to be weird not talking about basketball
Absolutely.
anymore. And that just about wraps it up for this week. If you can't make it out to see the Explorers play, be sure to tune in for next week's coverage. Keep up with this weekend's other sporting events by visiting goexplorers.com.
Also, check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/LaSalleTV and on Instagram at SportsLineLTV. We welcome you to send us your thoughts and suggestions there.
From our entire SportsLine team, I'm Megan Cooney.
And I'm pickleball enthusiast Charlie Hugg. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you at the game.